The warning sirens should have been blaring across every major city on Earth. Instead, the communications centers buzzed with something far stranger than panic. Laughter echoed through the halls of the United Earth Defense Network headquarters in Geneva. Controllers wiped tears from their eyes as they stared at the display screens showing the massive alien fleet hanging in orbit above the planet. Director Peterson doubled over his console, wheezing between fits of giggles. His deputy, Williams, had her hand clamped over her mouth trying to maintain some semblance of professional composure. She failed miserably when the alien transmission played for the third time. "People of Earth," the mechanical voice boomed through the speakers in awkward, overly formal language. "You stand before the Galactic Armada, 47 species united under one banner. We possess weapons that can crack your world like an egg. Surrender immediately or face annihilation." Peterson lost it again. "They actually said crack like an egg," he gasped. "Who writes this stuff?" Outside, in the streets of major cities worldwide, crowds gathered around public screens displaying the alien ships. The expected mass hysteria never came. Instead, people pointed and laughed. Some took selfies with the hovering motherships in the background. Social media exploded with memes comparing the alien fleet to outdated science fiction movies from the 20th century. In orbit, Supreme Commander Drath of the Armada felt his confidence waver for the first time in 300 conquered worlds. His command ship, the Inevitability, represented the peak of galactic military engineering, or so he had believed until this moment. The silence from Earth after their surrender demand should have meant terror, scrambling governments, pleading transmissions, not this bizarre cackling. "Supreme Commander," his tactical officer reported, confusion thick in her voice. "We are receiving a response from the humans." Finally, Drath settled his bulk into his command throne. "Broadcast it." The main screen flickered to life, showing a middle-aged human male in casual clothing. He wore something called a T-shirt with cartoon characters on it. Behind him, other humans moved about with coffee cups and data tablets, completely relaxed. "Hi there," the human said cheerfully. "This is Director Peterson from Earth Defense. Sorry about the delay in responding. We needed a few minutes to compose ourselves. Your arrival was genuinely the funniest thing that has happened to us in decades." Drath's jaw plates clicked in confusion. "You dare mock the Armada?" "Oh no, not mocking," Peterson assured him, though his grin suggested otherwise. "We are just surprised. Really, truly surprised. Look, we would like to meet face to face. We think there has been a significant misunderstanding here, and honestly, you deserve to know the truth before this goes any further." "The only truth is your surrender," Drath growled. "Right, sure," Peterson nodded agreeably. "How about this? Meet us at the following coordinates in 2 hours. Bring whoever you want. We will bring our delegation. No weapons, just talking. If after our conversation you still want to try conquering Earth, well, you are free to give it your best shot. Deal." Drath considered obliterating the human transmission source, but something in Peterson's easy confidence gave him pause. In 3 centuries of conquest, he had never encountered a species this calm. Usually they either surrendered immediately or fought desperately. This reaction fell outside all tactical parameters. "Agreed," he said finally, "but any treachery will result in immediate planetary bombardment." "Understood completely," Peterson replied. "See you soon." The transmission ended. Drath turned to his officers, all 47 species represented in his command crew. They looked as bewildered as he felt. "Tactical assessment," he demanded. "Their technology appears primitive, Supreme Commander," the sensor officer reported. "Radio waves, fusion reactors, chemical propulsion for their spacecraft, nothing that could threaten even our oldest vessels." "Then why are they laughing?" Drath muttered. 2 hours later, a small shuttle detached from Earth and headed toward the coordinates. The Armada watched it approach with weapons locked but held. The human craft looked ridiculous by galactic standards, a boxy thing with visible rivets and outdated heat shielding. It docked with a supposedly neutral station the humans had designated. Drath gathered his war council and boarded the station, surrounding himself with the finest warriors from each member species. They wore full battle armor and carried ceremonial weapons meant to intimidate. The airlock cycled open. The human delegation entered wearing comfortable civilian clothes. Peterson led the group of 5, all looking completely at ease. One human woman was actually eating something from a wrapped package. Supreme Commander Drath, Peterson extended his hand in the human greeting gesture. Thanks for coming. Can we offer you anything? Water, coffee, we brought snacks. Drath ignored the hand. Explain your insolence. Insolence? Peterson looked genuinely confused. Oh, you mean the laughing? Yeah, sorry about that. It was not meant as disrespect. We were just caught off guard. He gestured to the conference table. Please sit. This will be easier to explain if everyone is comfortable. The Armada Council remained standing, trying to project dominance. The humans shrugged and sat down anyway. Peterson pulled out a data tablet and placed it on the table. So here is the thing, he began conversationally. We need to tell you about humanity's actual technological level, because right now you are operating under some very dangerous assumptions, and honestly, we would prefer to clear this up before anyone gets hurt. You threaten us, Drath rumbled. No, Peterson said seriously, his smile fading. We are trying to save your lives. He tapped the tablet. The station lights dimmed. Outside the viewport, space itself seemed to ripple and fold. Thousands of shapes appeared where moments before there had been empty void, ships, human ships. They surrounded the entire Armada fleet in a perfect sphere of controlled positions. Welcome to Earth, Peterson said quietly. Now let us talk. Silence filled the conference room like a physical weight. Supreme Commander Drath stared through the viewport at the impossible sight. His tactical mind raced through scenarios, each more catastrophic than the last. The human fleet had appeared from nowhere, their ships smaller than Armada vessels, but arranged with mathematical precision that spoke of absolute control. How Drath finally managed. His translation device struggled to convey the depth of his shock. Peterson leaned back in his chair, clasping his hands behind his head in a relaxed pose that seemed deliberately casual. Before we get into the how, maybe we should start with the why. Why did you come to Earth expecting an easy conquest? Our intelligence indicated a primitive civilization, said Council Member Reth, a mantis-like being from the Chitara system. Your radio broadcasts, your visible industry, your spacecraft all suggest early fusion age development. Right, Peterson nodded, and that is exactly what we wanted you to see. Williams, the human deputy director, pulled up a holographic display. Unlike the clunky projectors the Armada used, this image hung in the air with perfect clarity, requiring no emitters or receivers. She manipulated it with simple hand gestures. Earth began exploring beyond our solar system about 200 years ago, she explained. Our first encounter with alien life was on a planet we called Haven, beautiful world, inhabited by a peaceful species who welcomed us openly. We traded knowledge, shared culture, made friends. The hologram showed pastoral scenes of cooperation between humans and tall, blue-skinned aliens. Drath recognized the species, the Havenas. The Armada had conquered their world 80 years ago. Then you came, Williams continued, her voice hardening. You wiped them out because they refused to join your empire. We watched from our hidden observation posts. We learned what the galaxy was actually like. You hid, Drath said, like cowards. We adapted, Peterson corrected. See, humans are really good at learning from mistakes. Our first instinct was to gear up for war, build massive fleets, challenge the Armada directly. But then we realized something important. The galaxy is full of species more technologically advanced than you, yet you keep conquering. Why? No one from the Armada answered. Peterson smiled. Because you pick your targets carefully, he continued. You only attack species you know you can beat, and any species advanced enough to threaten you, you avoid them. You stay in your little corner of the galaxy, pretending to be the biggest fish in a very small pond. Lies, Drath spat. We are the most powerful force in known space. Williams laughed, not unkindly. Commander, you are using Hellion fusion drives. We abandoned those 4 generations ago. Your weapons are plasma-based, which is great for show but terrible for actual efficiency. Your shields operate on rotating frequency modulation, which our systems cracked in about 6 seconds. Should I continue? The Armada Council members shifted uncomfortably. Peterson pulled up another display showing technical schematics that made Drath's engineering officer lean forward despite himself. This is our standard Explorer-class vessel, Peterson explained. Not a warship, just a science and survey ship. It uses quantum entanglement drives that let it cross the galaxy in weeks instead of years. Its power core is a contained micro-singularity that generates more energy than your entire fleet combined. And its defensive systems could shrug off everything you are carrying without even powering up to full capacity. Impossible, Reth whispered. Such technology would take millennia to develop. It did, Williams agreed. But see, while you were busy conquering planets and demanding tribute, we were busy advancing. Every resource we have goes into research, development, and exploration. We are not interested in empire. We are interested in knowledge. Peterson stood and walked to the viewport. Outside, the human ships maintained their perfect sphere around the Armada fleet. Their hulls were dark, almost invisible against space except for the faint shimmer of their active shields. We have 47 colonies spread across this region of the galaxy, he said. You have never detected a single one. Our ships pass through Armada space regularly. You have never seen them. We have listening posts on 17 of your conquered worlds. You have never found one. Why reveal yourselves now? Drath asked, struggling to maintain his composure. Because you finally came to Earth, Peterson turned back to face him. Our homeworld. And we realized we had a choice. We could destroy your fleet. That would be easy. One command from me and your ships would turn into expanding clouds of gas before you could fire a single shot. The threat hung in the air. Several Armada warriors reached for their weapons, but Drath held up a hand to stop them. But we do not want to do that, Peterson continued. No, why? Because despite everything you have done, despite all the species you have conquered and enslaved, we still think you can be better. Humans are weird that way. We always hope people can change. You expect us to surrender to you? Drath asked. No, Williams said firmly. We expect you to think, really think. What happens when you return to your empire and report what you found here? Either you lie and say Earth was too primitive to bother with, or you tell the truth and admit you were completely outmatched. Either way, your mystique of invincibility is broken. Peterson sat down again, his expression serious. Or there is a third option. You could listen to what we are actually offering, not surrender, not conquest, something different, something better. What? Drath asked, hating how his voice sounded uncertain. Partnership, Peterson said simply. Real partnership between equals. The word hung in the conference room. Outside, thousands of human ships waited patiently in the dark, their presence a silent reminder of which species truly held power here. But inside this small room, Peterson was offering something the Armada had never considered. Hope. Council member Reth's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of deep agitation among the Chitara. Around the conference table, representatives from 47 different species struggled to process what they had just heard. Partnership. The word felt foreign, almost obscene in the context of galactic politics they understood. You cannot simply erase centuries of conflict with pleasant words, growled Vorn, a heavily armored reptilian from the Skarath Dominion. The Armada exists because the galaxy is hostile. Only strength matters. Does it, though? Asked Rodriguez, one of the human delegates who had remained quiet until now. He was younger than Peterson, with kind eyes that seemed to see too much. Commander Drath, why did you join the Armada? The question caught Drath off guard. To protect my people. From what? From conquest, from enslavement, from extinction. Drath's voice carried the weight of old fears. And now you conquer others to prevent being conquered yourself, Rodriguez said gently. Do you see the problem with that logic? Drath said nothing. Around him, other council members shifted uncomfortably. These were questions they had stopped asking themselves long ago. Williams pulled up another holographic display. This one showed star charts marked with different colors. The blue zones are our colonies, peaceful, cooperative, focused on research and development. The red zones are Armada territories. Notice anything. The red zones were scattered, isolated pockets connected by narrow supply lines. The blue zones formed interconnected networks, systems supporting each other in efficient patterns. Your empire is fragile, Williams explained. Every conquered world requires constant military presence to prevent rebellion. Every species you force into service hates you and waits for the chance to break free. You spend enormous resources just maintaining what you have, which leaves nothing for actual growth. And your colonies? Drath asked bitterly. They simply cooperate from the goodness of their hearts. Actually, yes, Peterson said. Because we give them reasons to cooperate, shared technology, mutual defense, free exchange of ideas. When everyone benefits, no one wants to leave. Reth leaned forward, her large, compound eyes reflecting the holographic light. You claim to have listening posts on our worlds. What have you learned? The question surprised the other Armada members. Williams and Peterson exchanged glances, then Williams tapped her controls. New images appeared showing scenes from various conquered worlds. We learned that most of your subject species are miserable, Williams said quietly. The Havenas were not the only peaceful civilization you destroyed. We have documented 43 species the Armada has completely wiped out, not because they were threats, because they refused to submit. The images showed ruins, mass graves, abandoned cities. Even the hardened warriors around the table looked away. We also learned something else, Peterson added. Most species in the Armada did not join willingly. They joined because you threatened to destroy them if they refused. That is not an empire. That is a protection racket. You judge us, Vorn snarled. Yet you hide in the shadows like parasites, doing nothing while civilizations die. You are right, Peterson said, and the admission shocked everyone. We carry that guilt. Every species the Armada destroyed while we watched and did nothing. We told ourselves we were not ready, that revealing ourselves too soon would accomplish nothing. Maybe that was true. Maybe it was just cowardice. Either way, we are not hiding anymore. He stood and walked to the viewport again. The human fleet remained in perfect formation, a demonstration of coordination that spoke of countless hours of training and technological integration. Here is what we are offering, Peterson said. Any species in the Armada that wants to leave, we will protect them. Any species that wants to stay and reform the Armada into something better, we will help them. And any species that wants to continue the old ways of conquest and domination, we will stop them. You would go to war with us? Drath asked. If necessary, Williams confirmed. But we really hope it does not come to that. War is wasteful. It destroys knowledge, kills people who might have contributed something amazing to the galaxy. We prefer cooperation. Rodriguez pulled up a new display showing technological schematics. This is a matter fabricator. It can produce almost any physical object using raw atomic materials. We will give this technology to any species that agrees to use it peacefully. Imagine no more resource scarcity, no more fighting over planets and minerals. Everyone has enough. You would share such power freely? Reth asked, disbelief clear in her voice. We already have, Rodriguez smiled. 17 of our colony worlds are not human. They are species we have befriended and shared our technology with. Some were refugees from the Armada. Others we discovered before you found them. All of them are now our equals. Drath felt something crack inside him. His entire worldview, built on strength and domination, was crumbling. Why should we trust you? You have been spying on us for decades. You could have helped us, guided us, but instead you watched us struggle. You are right again, Peterson acknowledged. We made mistakes. We will probably make more, but here is the difference between us and the Armada. When we mess up, we admit it and try to do better. Can you say the same? The question hung in the air. Around the table, Armada Council members looked at each other, some with dawning understanding, others with stubborn resistance. "I want to believe you," Reth said slowly. "But words are cheap. What proof can you offer that you truly want peace?" Williams smiled. "Commander, do you remember what you said when you first arrived at Earth, about cracking our world like an egg?" "Yes," Drath admitted reluctantly. "You are still alive," Williams said simply. "Your fleet is intact. Your people are unharmed. That is our proof. We could have destroyed you the moment you entered our system. Instead, we are talking. That should tell you everything you need to know about what we truly want." Drath stood slowly, his massive frame seeming somehow smaller than when he had first entered the conference room. He walked to the viewport and stared out at his fleet, surrounded by human vessels that could destroy them all in seconds. His reflection in the transparent material showed a warrior who suddenly looked very old and very tired. "I need to understand something," he said without turning around. "You claim to value all life, to want cooperation instead of conquest, but you have weapons, advanced weapons. Why? Build them if not to use." "Because the galaxy is dangerous," Peterson replied. "Just not in the way you think. The real danger is not other species. It is entropy, heat, death, the eventual end of everything. Humans figured out a long time ago that if we want to survive the universe itself, we need to work together. Every species that goes extinct is knowledge lost forever. Every war is brilliant minds wasted on destruction instead of creation." Williams pulled up a new display, this one showing a massive structure under construction in deep space. It was incomprehensibly huge, a ring that could encircle a star. "This is Project Continuity," she explained. "A research station designed to study the fundamental nature of reality. We are trying to figure out if entropy can be reversed, if the universe can be saved from heat death. That is the real enemy, not each other." "And you need other species for this?" asked Quinn, a gaseous being from the nebular collectives who communicated through controlled chemical releases that the translator units converted to speech. "Absolutely," Rodriguez said enthusiastically. "Humans are good at some things, pattern recognition, adaptability, creative problem solving, but we are terrible at others. The Chitara process mathematical calculations thousands of times faster than we can. The Skarath have natural resistance to radiation that lets them work in environments that would kill us. Every species has unique advantages." He looked directly at Drath. "Even your people, Commander, the Krill have perfect spatial memory. Your navigators never get lost, never make mistakes in plotting courses through dangerous space. That is incredibly valuable for deep space exploration." Drath turned back to face the room. "You have studied us, all of us." "For decades," Peterson confirmed. "Not just your technology, your cultures, your histories, your strengths. We know that the Skarath Dominion joined the Armada 300 years ago after you lost a devastating war with a neighboring species. We know the Chitara were threatened with orbital bombardment if you did not contribute your mathematical expertise. We know the story of every species here." "Creepy," muttered Vorn, but his aggressive posture had softened. "Maybe," Williams admitted, "but necessary. We needed to understand who we were dealing with, and what we found was not monsters. We found frightened civilizations doing what they thought they had to do to survive." Reth's mandibles clicked in what the translator identified as a sardonic laugh. "You paint us as victims. We have made choices. We have conquered. We have killed. Do not absolve us of our sins." "We are not," Peterson said firmly. "Every species here, including humanity, has blood on their hands. The question is what you do next. Keep repeating the same cycle of violence or break it and try something new." "And if we refuse?" Vorn challenged. "If we say no to your generous offer and decide to leave and regroup?" "Then you leave," Peterson said simply. "We will not stop you." The answer clearly surprised everyone. Drath studied Peterson's face, looking for deception and finding none. "You would let us go, return to the Armada, prepare for war?" "Yes," Williams said, "because forcing you to stay would make us exactly what we claim not to be. We believe in choice, Commander, real choice. not the false choice of submit or die that the Armada offers. Rodriguez stood and approached the viewport, standing beside Drath. "Can I tell you something personal, Commander? My grandmother was from Haven. She escaped before your forces arrived, fleeing in a barely functional transport. She spent the rest of her life in human space, working to prevent other species from suffering the same fate. She died believing the Armada could never be stopped, only avoided." He turned to look at Drath directly. "I would love nothing more than to prove her wrong, to show her that the species who destroyed her homeworld could change, could become something better. But that has to be your choice, not something we force on you." Drath felt something unfamiliar stirring in his chest. It took him a moment to recognize it as hope. "If we agreed to this partnership, what would it look like, specifically?" Peterson smiled and pulled up a detailed proposal. "First, immediate cessation of all conquest activities. Second, free elections on all Armada-controlled worlds. Let the people choose whether to stay in a reformed coalition or leave. Third, establishment of a joint council where every species has equal representation. No supreme commanders, no subject worlds, just cooperation." "You would give up your technological advantage?" Reth asked. "Share everything equally." "We would share the basics immediately," Williams explained. "Matter fabrication, medical technology, improved energy. Systems, the really advanced stuff, like quantum drives and zero-point energy, that comes after trust is established. We are optimistic, not stupid." "And military technology," Vorn pressed. "You would not share your weapons." "We would help you develop defensive systems," Peterson said. "But no, we will not share weapons technology. Not until we are absolutely certain it will not be used for conquest. That is non-negotiable." Drath turned to his council. He could see the conflict on their faces. Centuries of one way of thinking did not disappear in a single conversation, but he could also see something else. Curiosity, interest, the possibility of something different. "We need time," he said finally. "Time to discuss among ourselves, time to consult with our homeworlds." "Of course," Peterson agreed. "Take all the time you need. Your fleet can remain here in orbit, completely safe. We will provide supplies if needed. No weapons, no surveillance, no interference. Just think about what you want the future to look like." "And if we decide to reject your offer?" Drath asked. "Then you leave in peace," Peterson said, "and we hope you change your mind someday." 3 days passed. The Armada fleet remained in orbit around Earth, surrounded by the silent human vessels. Inside the various ships, heated debates raged among council members, crew, and civilian populations. The humans kept their promise, providing supplies when requested but otherwise maintaining respectful distance. On the 4th day, something unexpected happened. A small craft detached from one of the mid-sized Armada vessels and approached Earth's atmosphere. The Human Defense Network tracked it but did not interfere. Peterson received notification in his office and smiled. The craft landed at the designated diplomatic zone outside Geneva. Its airlock opened and out stepped Reth, the Chitara Council member, along with 3 others of her species. They looked around nervously at the Earth landscape, seeing an actual human world for the first time. Peterson met them personally at the landing pad. "Council member Reth, welcome to Earth." "I needed to see it," she said, her translator conveying the wonder in her voice. "The homeworld of the species that could destroy us but chooses not to. I needed to understand if your words matched your reality." "Completely fair," Peterson gestured toward a waiting vehicle. "We have prepared a tour if you are interested. No restrictions, go anywhere, see anything. We will answer any questions honestly." Over the next 2 days, Reth and her companions explored Earth. They visited cities where humans and several alien species lived and worked together. They toured research facilities where scientists from different worlds collaborated on projects. They spoke with refugees from Armada territories who had found sanctuary in human space. On a research station orbiting Mars, Reth met a young Chitara mathematician named Triss. The girl could not have been more than 15 in human years. She was working on quantum probability equations alongside human researchers, her compound eyes bright with excitement. "You are Chitara," Reth said, unable to hide her shock. "How did you come to be here?" "My family fled the Armada 5 years ago," Triss explained. "We heard rumors of a place where our people could do real research, not just calculate firing solutions for weapons. The humans found us drifting in a damaged transport and brought us here." "And they treat you well?" Triss looked genuinely confused by the question. "They treat me like anyone else. Professor Kim, my mentor, says I have a gift for theoretical mathematics. She thinks I might help solve some major problems in faster-than-light physics. Why would they treat me differently?" Reth had no answer. In the Armada, Chitara were valued only for their mathematical abilities, forced into service calculating trajectories and logistics. The idea that one of her people could pursue knowledge for its own sake felt alien and wonderful. That evening, Peterson joined Reth at an observation deck overlooking Earth. The planet turned slowly beneath them, blue and green and alive. "Your world is beautiful," Reth said quietly. "Thank you, but it is not just our world anymore. We have had permanent alien residents for over 50 years. They helped build this station. Their children attend schools with human children. Some have never even visited their species' homeworld. They are Earth citizens, same as anyone born here." "Do you ever have conflicts, different species with different needs?" "All the time," Peterson admitted. "Last month we had a huge debate about lighting standards in mixed species habitats. The Lumerians need specific UV frequencies. Humans find them uncomfortable. It took weeks to engineer a compromise. But that is life, right? Working through problems together." Reth was silent for a long moment. "Council member Vorn will not accept your offer. The Skarath culture is built on dominance and strength. Admitting they were wrong would be unthinkable." "We know," Peterson said, "and that is okay. We do not need everyone, just enough to start building something better." "The Chitara will accept," Reth said, decision clear in her voice. "Our people have served the Armada for 300 years because we had no choice. You offer us a choice, we will take it." Peterson smiled. "That is wonderful news, but you should know it will not be easy. Leaving the Armada might put your homeworld at risk." "We understand, but meeting Triss, seeing what our people could become if given the chance, that makes the risk worthwhile." She turned her complex eyes to Peterson. "You asked earlier why we build weapons if we value peace. I finally understand. You build weapons so others can choose peace freely without fear. That is wisdom we never learned." Over the next week, more delegations visited Earth. Some came skeptical and left convinced. Others came looking for reasons to reject the human offer and found them, returning to their ships more certain than ever that the old ways were better. On the 10th day, Drath called for a final council meeting. This time it took place on Earth, in a large conference center built to accommodate different species' environmental needs. Representatives from all 47 Armada species attended, along with human observers. Drath stood before them all, his massive frame commanding attention. "We have talked, we have debated, we have seen Earth and what humans offer. Now we must decide. Each species will vote independently, stay with the Armada or accept human partnership." The voting took hours. One by one, species representatives stood and announced their choice. The results were not unanimous. 15 species, led by the Skarath, chose to remain with the traditional Armada. They would leave human space and return to their territories, continuing as they always had. 32 species chose partnership. Some enthusiastically, others reluctantly, but all willing to try something different. Vorn stood for the Skarath delegation, his scales gleaming under the conference lights. "We respect your choice, but we cannot accept it. The galaxy is cruel. Only strength matters. You will learn this when the humans inevitably betray you." "Maybe," Reth replied calmly. "Or maybe we will prove you wrong. Either way, it is our choice to make." "Indeed it is," Peterson agreed. "And both choices are valid. The 15 species leaving can do so with our blessing. We will not interfere with your territories or your activities as long as you leave the 32 partner species alone." "Agreed," Vorn said after a moment. "We are not fools. We know you could destroy us. We will not attack your new coalition." Drath had remained seated throughout the voting. Now he stood and everyone fell silent. Drath looked around the conference center at the assembled species. 47 different civilizations that had come to Earth expecting easy conquest and found something they never anticipated: understanding, choice, hope. "I have led the Armada for 20 years, he began, his voice carrying the weight of those decades. "In that time we conquered 18 worlds. I told myself it was necessary, that the galaxy was hostile and only the strong survived. I believed that completely." He paused, looking at Peterson and the other human delegates. "Then we came to Earth and discovered we were neither strong nor wise. We were frightened children playing at being warriors, conquering others to feel powerful because we felt so powerless ourselves." Vorn made a disgusted sound, but Drath ignored him. "The Krill people joined the Armada 200 years ago because a neighboring species threatened our homeworld. We were given a choice: join or be destroyed. We chose survival. Then we forced that same choice on others, perpetuating the cycle that had hurt us. I am ashamed of that now." "Weakness," Vorn muttered. "No," Drath said firmly. "Admitting mistakes is not weakness. It is the first step toward actually being strong. The humans taught me that." Peterson stood. "Commander Drath, the Krill are welcome in the partnership if you choose. Your people have suffered, and that suffering does not erase what you did to others, but it can inform how you act moving forward." "My people will join," Drath said, "and I will step down as Supreme Commander. That title belongs to the old ways. If we are to build something new, we need new leadership." "Actually," Williams interjected, "we were hoping you would consider staying on, not as Supreme Commander, but as coordinator of the Joint Council. Someone who understands both the old and new systems, someone who has made mistakes and learned from them." Drath stared at her in disbelief. "You would trust me with such responsibility after everything?" "Trust is not given," Rodriguez explained. "It is earned, but everyone deserves the chance to earn it. You have the experience, the respect of many species here, and you have proven you can change your mind when presented with new information. Those are valuable qualities." Over the next month, the Reformation began. The 15 species that chose to leave did so peacefully, their ships departing human space without incident. They took with them some basic technologies humans offered as parting gifts: medical advances, improved food synthesis, better radiation shielding. Not weapons, but tools to improve lives. Vorn was the last to leave. Before boarding his ship, he approached Peterson one final time. "You are making a mistake," he said. "Showing mercy to those who would conquer you, sharing power with the weak, it will destroy you." "Maybe," Peterson acknowledged. "But what is the alternative? Become like the old Armada, conquer and control through fear? That is not strength, that is just fear with better weapons." "You will see," Vorn said, but there was less certainty in his voice than before. "When the galaxy turns on you, when your precious partnership crumbles, you will see that I was right." "I hope we prove you wrong," Peterson replied simply. "But if we are proven right, you and your people are always welcome back. The door stays open." Vorn said nothing more, boarding his ship and departing. The remaining Scarath watched him go, some with relief, others with sadness. Change was hard, even necessary change. For the 32 species that remained, the real work began. The Joint Council formed with representatives from each civilization, including humans. No one had veto power. Every decision required majority agreement. It was messy and slow and beautiful. Reth became the head of the new science division, coordinating research across dozens of worlds. Triss, the young Chitara mathematician, worked alongside human physicists on the Continuity Project. Their combined efforts led to breakthroughs neither could have achieved alone. Drath took on his new role with unexpected grace. He spent his days mediating disputes, coordinating logistics, and helping former Armada species adjust to their new freedom. It was harder work than commanding a fleet, but infinitely more rewarding. 6 months after the Armada arrived at Earth, the first joint colony was established. a planet called New Haven, named in memory of the world that humans had failed to save. Representatives from 20 different species worked together to build a city that accommodated everyone's needs. Peterson stood in the center of that city on its dedication day, watching humans and aliens working side by side. Children of different species played together in the parks. Restaurants served food from a dozen worlds. It was chaotic and imperfect and absolutely wonderful. Williams found him there, a satisfied smile on her face. "Thinking about your grandmother?" she asked Rodriguez, who had joined them. "Always," Rodriguez replied. "She would have loved this, seeing Haven live again even if the original is gone." "What we built here is not a replacement," Reth said, approaching the group with Drath beside her. "Nothing can replace what was lost, but it honors those who died by ensuring their fate does not befall others." Drath looked up at the sky where ships from the Coalition patrolled peacefully. "Do you think Vorn and his people will ever change?" "Honestly, I do not know," Peterson admitted. "Some people are not ready to let go of old ways, but their children might be, and their children's children. Change happens slowly, one generation at a time." "What about the rest of the galaxy?" Drath asked. "Beyond our small corner of space, there are threats out there, real threats." "Then we will face them together," Williams said. "That is the whole point. Humans alone could not survive what is coming. The heat death of the universe, cosmic disasters, threats we cannot even imagine yet. But all of us together, we have a chance." Rodriguez pulled up a holographic display showing the Continuity Project. The massive ring around a distant star was nearly complete, its surface covered in research stations and laboratories. "We have already made progress on entropy reversal," he explained. "Nothing concrete yet, but the theoretical framework is sound. Give us another 50 years and we might actually crack it." 50 years, Drath mused. "In the old days, we planned in cycles of conquest. 5 years to subjugate a world, 10 years to extract resources, 20 years to breed a generation of servants. Now you speak of 50 years just to answer a single question." "The best questions take time," Peterson smiled. "And we have time now, no more wasting it on conquest and war. We can focus on what really matters: understanding, growth, survival." They stood together in silence, watching the new city bustle with life around them. In the distance, a group of mixed species children laughed as they played. One human child was being carried on the shoulders of a young krill, while Chitara youngsters chittered excitedly about something they had discovered. The future was uncertain. Challenges remained. Vorn was right that the galaxy held dangers the partnership would have to face. But for the first time in galactic history, dozens of species were facing those challenges together, as equals, as friends. And it all started because humans